The alarm sounded through every deck of the Leviathan. Captain Jake Morrison ran to the bridge as red lights flashed in the hallways. When he arrived, his crew was already at their stations. "Report," Jake called out. "Captain, we have contact," said Sensor Officer Danny White. "Multiple alien ships detected at the edge of the Tau Ceti system." Jake looked at the main screen. At first, he saw only dots of light against the black of space. Then the computer enhanced the image, and Jake felt his breath stop. The alien ships were huge, much bigger than anything in the human fleet. But they did not look like ships at all. They looked alive, the hulls curved and twisted like giant sea creatures. The surfaces seemed to pulse and move. Strange lights ran along their sides in patterns that reminded Jake of blood vessels. "How many ships?" he asked. 15, Captain. The largest one is about 30 kilometers long." Jake tried to stay calm, but inside he felt afraid. The Leviathan was 15 kilometers long and was the biggest thing humans had ever built. This alien ship was twice as big. Distance, 2 million kilometers and closing. They are moving toward us at high speed. Dr. Lisa Kane ran onto the bridge. She carried her translation equipment in a heavy case. "Captain, I am ready to try communication," she said. "Do it." "Commander Phillips, help Dr. Kane with the transmission." Commander Kate Phillips worked at the communications station. She set up the equipment to send the mathematical signals that Lisa had prepared. "Sending first contact message now," Kate said. The message went out into space. Mathematical sequences that should be understood by any intelligent species. Basic numbers and simple equations. Then more complex patterns that showed humans understood physics and chemistry. For 10 minutes they waited. The alien ships kept coming closer. Then suddenly, every speaker on the bridge crackled to life. The sound that came out was horrible. It was like the screaming of metal being torn apart, mixed with the sound of a giant insect clicking its jaws. But underneath the noise there were patterns. Rhythms that might be language. "They are answering," Lisa said, working quickly at her computer. "The signal is bioelectric, just like we expected. Give me a moment to run it through the translation program." The bridge crew watched as alien symbols appeared on Lisa's screen. Slowly, words in English began to form. "Weak flesh things," the translation read. "You approach the domain of the hegemony. Submit now or face consumption." Jake felt anger rise in his chest. "Ask them if they are willing to talk." Lisa typed quickly and sent another mathematical message. The response came back immediately. "Talk is for equals. You are food stock. Your planet will serve the hegemony. Your species will breed soldiers. For our armies or feed our warrior caste." "Food stock?" asked Navigator Dan Foster. "They think we are animals," Jake said. "Dr. Kane, tell them we are an intelligent species. We have technology and science." The message went out. This time, the response was different. The horrible screeching sound came again, but now Jake realized what it was. The aliens were laughing. "Small brain meat thinks it is clever," came the translation. "We have consumed 3,000 worlds. All species think they are special. All species serve the hegemony in the end." Captain Morrison walked to the center of the bridge. He looked at his crew. These people had families back on Earth. Children and parents and friends who were counting on them. "Commander Walker," he called to the weapons station. "Prepare a demonstration. I want to show these aliens that we are not helpless." "Yes, Captain." "What kind of demonstration?" Jake pointed at the main screen. "See that asteroid cluster about 1 million kilometers to our left? Destroy the largest one." Troy Walker's hands moved across his control panel. "Main cannon charging, Captain. The Deep humming sound filled the ship as the massive weapon drew power. On the screen, they could see the alien ships had stopped moving toward them. Maybe they were curious about what the humans would do. "Main cannon ready, Captain." "Fire!" A beam of pure white energy shot out from the Leviathan. It crossed the distance, to the asteroid in seconds. When it hit, the space rock simply vanished. One moment it was there, a chunk of stone and metal the size of a mountain. The next moment, there was only empty space and glowing gas. "Message sent," Jake said. "Dr. Kane, tell them that was a small demonstration of our weapons. Ask them if they want to reconsider their demands." The translation went out. The bridge. Crew waited for a response. When it came, Jake felt his heart sink. The alien laughter was louder this time, longer, more horrible. "Amusing," read the translation. "The food stock has sharp teeth. This will make the conquest more interesting. Our warrior pods require practice." "Warrior pods?" asked Commander Hayes. Before anyone could answer, the sensor alarms began screaming. Danny White looked at his screens with wide eyes. "Captain, the alien ships are changing. They are growing new structures on their hulls. On the main screen, the alien vessels began to transform. Parts of their living hulls split open like flowers blooming. From inside, smaller ships emerged. These looked even more like living creatures. They had long, flexible tails and what might be mouths full of sharp teeth." "How many of these smaller ships?" Jake asked. "Hundreds, Captain. Maybe thousands. They keep coming out of the larger vessels." Dr. Martinez's voice came over the communication system from the engine room. "Captain, my quantum sensors are picking up massive energy buildups in the alien ships. Whatever they are planning to do, it is going to be big." Jake knew they were in trouble. The alien fleet was much larger than expected, and they had just learned that each big ship could produce an army of smaller fighters. "Dr. Kane, send them one more message. Tell them that Earth is protected by a large fleet. If they attack us, they will face the full power of humanity." It was a lie, but maybe it would make the aliens think twice. The response came back quickly. This time there was no laughter. "Your thoughts betray you, weak flesh. We taste your fear through the quantum foam. Your species has no large fleet. You have only this one vessel." Jake felt cold. How could they know that? Lisa looked up from her computer with fear in her eyes. "Captain, I think their bioelectric communication system works differently than we thought. They might be able to sense our thoughts or emotions through some kind of quantum field." "Are you saying they can read our minds?" "Not exactly, but they might be able to sense strong emotions. Fear, anger, determination." Commander Walker called from the weapons station. "Captain, the alien fighter ships are moving toward us. They will be in weapons range in 5 minutes." Jake looked around the bridge. His crew was scared, but they were also angry. These aliens thought humans were just animals to be eaten or enslaved. They were about to learn differently. "All hands, this is the captain," he said into the ship's communication system. "We are about to engage hostile alien forces. They think we are weak. They think we will surrender without a fight. They do not know humans very well." He paused, thinking about Earth, about every person on the planet who was counting on them. These aliens have destroyed 3,000 worlds. They have enslaved or eaten every species they have ever met, but they have never met humans before. Today we show them what happens when they threaten Earth. The alien fighters were getting closer. Their weapons began to glow with sickly green light. "Dr. Martinez, prepare the quantum displacement field." "Commander Walker, all weapons ready. We are going to give these aliens something to remember." The bridge crew worked at their stations with calm efficiency. They were afraid, but they were also determined. The aliens might have bigger ships and more fighters, but they had never faced humans in battle before. Outside the ship, space filled with alien fighters, their weapons charged with power. The battle for humanity's future was about to begin. Captain Jake Morrison walked across the bridge of the UES Leviathan. His boots made soft sounds on the metal floor. The ship around him was huge beyond anything humans had ever built before. It stretched 15 kilometers from front to back. The walls were thick steel mixed with new metals that scientists had made in space labs. Lights ran along the ceiling in straight lines. They gave everything a blue glow. Jake stopped at the main window. Outside, space looked black and empty. But he knew that was not true anymore. 3 days ago, everything had changed. 3 days ago, Dr. Lisa Kane had picked up a signal from deep space. Not just any signal. A message from aliens. The door behind him opened with a quiet hiss. Dr. Kane walked in. She carried a tablet in her hands. Her face looked tired. She had not slept much since the signal came in. "Captain," she said, "I have more of the translation done." Jake turned to face her. "What does it say?" Lisa looked at her tablet. "It is not good news. The message is a warning. It talks about something called the hegemony. They are coming this way." "Coming here? To Earth?" "Yes, but not just to Earth. The message says they take over every world they find. Some planets they turn into slave worlds. Others they destroy completely." Jake felt cold inside his chest. "How long do we have?" "The signal is old. Maybe 6 months. But their ships move fast. I think we have maybe 1 year before they reach our space." The bridge door opened again. Admiral Rick Stone walked in. He was an older man with gray hair and deep lines around his eyes. He had fought in the Mars Wars 20 years ago. He knew about fighting. "Captain Morrison," the Admiral said, "I need to talk to you and Dr. Kane." They walked to a small room off the bridge. The Admiral closed the door behind them. "I have been talking to the leaders on Earth," he said. "They want to know what we should do. Some think we should hide, make our ships dark and hope the aliens pass by. Others think we should try to talk to them, send messages of peace." Jake looked out the small window. "What do you think, Admiral?" Rick Stone was quiet for a moment. "I think both ideas are wrong. If we hide, they will find us anyway. The message shows they are good at finding planets with life, and if we try to talk peace, they will see us as weak." "So what do we do?" Lisa asked. The Admiral smiled, but it was not a happy smile. "We do what humans do best. We meet them on our terms. We show them that Earth is not easy to take." Jake felt. His heart beat faster. "You want to take the Leviathan to meet them?" "That is exactly what I want. This ship is the strongest thing we have ever built. It has weapons that can crack moons. It has shields that can stop anything we know about. And it is big enough that anyone who sees it will know we are serious." Lisa shook her head. "But, Captain, we do not know anything about their weapons. Their ships might be much stronger than ours." "Maybe," the Admiral said, "but we know something about them from the message. They expect other races to give up without a fight. They have been doing this for a long time. They think they know how it will go." Jake walked to the window again. Outside, he could see other human ships, smaller ships that looked like toys, next to the Leviathan. "When do we leave?" "Soon," Rick said. I'm putting Commander Nina Hayes in charge of getting the crew ready. We will need everyone working together for this." The Admiral left them alone. Lisa sat down in a chair. She looked at her tablet again. "There is more in the message," she said. "Things I have not told you yet." "What kind of things?" "Numbers. The hegemony talks about how many worlds they have taken, how many different types of aliens they have met." She looked up at Jake. "Captain, they have been doing this for thousands of years. They have taken over more than 3,000 different planets." Jake felt the cold feeling in his chest get stronger. 3,000? Yes. And the message talks about what happens to the aliens they find. Most become slaves. They work in mines or farms. Some are used for testing new weapons. And some... She stopped talking. "Some what?" "Some are used as food." Jake was quiet for a long time. He thought about Earth, about the cities full of people who did not know what was coming, about children playing in parks, about families having dinner together. "Dr. Kane," he said, "how sure are you about the translation?" "Very sure. I have checked it many times. The math is clear. The language patterns are consistent. This message is real. And you think we only have a year?" "Maybe less. Their scout ships move faster than their main fleet. They might already be in our area of space." Jake made his choice. He opened the door and walked back to the bridge. Lisa followed him. The bridge crew looked up when they came in. These were good people, pilots and engineers and weapons experts. They had trained for years to run the Leviathan, but they had never thought they would need to fight aliens. "Attention, all crew," Jake said into the ship's communication system. "This is your captain. In 2 hours we will receive new orders from Admiral Stone. We are going to leave Earth orbit. Our mission is to make contact with an alien force that is coming toward our space." He could see the surprise on the faces around him. Some looked scared. Others looked excited. "I will not lie to you," Jake continued. "This mission is dangerous. We do not know what we will find out there. But I can tell you this. Earth is counting on us. Every person on our planet is counting on us. We are going to show these aliens that humans are not easy to defeat." The communications system carried his words to every part of the huge ship. In the engine rooms, Dr. Sam Martinez stopped his work to listen. In the weapons sections, Commander Troy Walker checked his equipment one more time. All through the ship, 50,000 crew members heard their captain's words. Lisa touched Jake's arm. "Captain, there is one more thing about the message." "What?" "It mentions something about humans specifically, like they already know about us." Jake felt ice in his blood. "What does it say?" "It says Earth has been marked for special attention. They want to study us before they decide what to do with our planet." Outside the ship's windows, Earth turned, slowly in space. Blue oceans and white clouds. Green continents where billions of people lived and worked and dreamed. None of them knew that their fate would soon be decided by the crew of one massive warship. The Leviathan began to change direction. Its huge engines started to glow brighter. Captain Jake Morrison stood on his bridge and watched his home planet grow smaller behind them. Somewhere ahead, in the dark, alien ships were coming, and humanity was going to meet them head-on. The final battle began in a place that existed outside normal reality. The hierarchy had retreated to the void between dimensions, where the laws of physics bent to the will of whoever had the most power. Captain Jake Morrison guided the Eternal, Vigilance into this strange space, following the enemy into their last stronghold. "Captain, our instruments can't make sense of this place." Lisa Park reported from engineering. Matter and energy are behaving like they're optional. Commander Patricia Stone stood beside Jake, her ancient wisdom guiding him through the impossible realm. In this space, thoughts become real and will shapes reality. The hierarchy chose this battlefield because here they believe their experience gives them advantage. The void around them was filled with swirling colors that had no names. Distances meant nothing, and time flowed in circles. The hierarchy vessels appeared as massive shapes made of crystallized thought, their hulls formed from the concentrated arrogance of beings who had ruled for millions of years. Sovereign Zephyros materialized in front of their ship, no longer bothering with the pretense of using technology. He was pure energy and will, a being of cosmic power facing the descendants of the species he had destroyed eons ago. "Behold your doom, children of a forgotten race," Zephyros said, his voice echoing through dimensions. "In this place we are truly gods. Here we can reshape reality itself to crush you." Jake felt the ship responding to his thoughts and emotions. The eternal vigilance began to glow with power that came not from engines or reactors, but from the determination of everyone aboard. "Maybe you're gods," Jake replied, "but we're human, and humans don't give up." The battle that followed was unlike anything that had ever happened in the galaxy. Instead of energy beams and missiles, they fought with concepts and ideas. The hierarchy threw waves of despair and hopelessness at the human ships, trying to convince them that resistance was pointless. Helen and Commander Stone worked together to counter these attacks with shields made of human stubbornness and the unshakable belief that everyone deserved freedom. Amy Chen found herself wielding knowledge like a weapon, using humanity's curiosity to cut through the hierarchy's lies about cosmic order. Ryan Hayes and Bobby Torres discovered they could create tactical advantages by imagining better possibilities into existence. Their combined hopes for a free galaxy became real in this space where thought had power. "Captain," Commander Stone said urgently, "Zephyros is attempting something desperate. He's trying to collapse the barriers between all realities." Jake could see it happening around them. The void was starting to tear apart, revealing glimpses of infinite other universes where different versions of the same battle were being fought. In some realities, the hierarchy had won completely. In others, they had never existed at all. If he succeeds in merging all realities, Helen warned, he can draw power from every version of the hierarchy that ever existed. He would become truly omnipotent. The fabric of existence began to unravel as Zephyros pulled power from across infinite dimensions. He grew larger and more terrible, becoming a being of such cosmic force that nearby stars in normal space began to go out just from his presence. "You cannot stop me now," Zephyros roared. "I am becoming one with the infinite versions of myself. I am becoming the god of all possible realities." But Jake had an idea. "Helen, can the Guardian technology do the same thing? Can we connect with other versions of ourselves?" "Theoretically," Helen replied, "but the risk is enormous. If we fail, every version of humanity in every reality could be destroyed simultaneously." Jake looked around at his crew, both ancient and modern. They were all nodding their agreement without hesitation. Amy spoke for everyone when she said, "It's not really a choice, is it? If we don't try, everyone dies anyway." Commander Stone smiled with pride. "My people chose correctly when we decided to trust in humanity's future." "Very well, Captain. Authorize the Infinite Guardian Protocol." Jake felt the ship connecting to versions of itself across all possible realities. Suddenly, he was aware of countless other Jake Morrisons, all facing the same choice, all making the same decision. The eternal vigilance became something beyond a single ship. It became the combined will of humanity across infinite dimensions. But instead of trying to match Zephyros's growing power, Jake made a different choice. "We're not going to fight you with force," he announced. "We're going to fight you with something you never understood." "And what is that?" Zephyros demanded. "Compassion," Jake replied. The combined power of infinite versions of the Guardian technology focused not on destroying the hierarchy, but on healing them. Across all realities, the ancient parasites found themselves forced to experience every moment of suffering they had caused, to feel the pain of every being they had harvested. For the first time in millions of years, the hierarchy felt genuine empathy. They experienced the terror of civilizations facing extinction, the despair of families torn apart, the hopelessness of species watching their worlds die. Zephyros's form began to shrink as the weight of his crimes crashed down on him. "What are you doing to us?" "We're showing you what you've become," Amy said gently. "We're giving you the chance to choose differently." The other hierarchy members were changing too. The cosmic energy they had stolen over the eons was leaving them, flowing back to its rightful owners. Across the galaxy, dead worlds began to live again as harvested civilizations were restored to existence. Commander Stone watched the transformation with satisfaction. This was always the Guardian Protocol's true purpose. Not to destroy our enemies, but to heal the universe they had broken. Zephyros, now reduced to a being of normal size and power, collapsed to his knees in the void. "The pain," he whispered. "How did you bear it? How do any of you live with so much suffering in the universe?" "By helping each other," Jake said simply. "By choosing to make things better instead of just taking what we want." One by one, the hierarchy chose to give up their stolen power and accept the consequences of their actions. Some chose to fade away into peaceful non-existence. Others asked to be transformed into normal mortals so they could learn to live with compassion. The void between dimensions began to heal as reality stabilized. The Guardian technology completed its work, ensuring that every harvested species was restored to life and every stolen world was returned to its people. When they returned to normal space, the galaxy was transformed. Planets that had been dead for millions of years were now bustling with life. Species that existed only in ancient records were broadcasting greetings to their neighbors. The galaxy was more alive and diverse than it had been since the universe was young. Admiral Blake's image appeared on their communication screen, her face showing wonder. "Morrison, reports are coming in from across human space. Every species we thought was extinct is alive again. There are so many new civilizations that our computers can't count them all." Jake smiled as he looked at the sensor readings showing countless worlds celebrating their restoration. "I think we're going to need a much bigger galaxy to hold everyone." Commander Stone placed her hand on his shoulder. "The Guardian Protocol's work is complete, Captain. The ancient cycle of predation has been broken forever." Helen nodded in agreement. "The universe is free to grow and develop without fear. Every species can now choose its own path among the stars." Jake sat back in his captain's chair, feeling the satisfaction of a job well done. Humanity had found its place in the cosmos not as conquerors or rulers, but as guardians and protectors. They had proven that even gods could be redeemed if someone was willing to show them a better way. The stars had never looked brighter, The war spread across the galaxy faster than anyone had imagined possible. Within hours of the Guardian vessels reaching threatened worlds, the hierarchy abandoned all pretense of being benevolent guides. They revealed weapons that could tear apart reality itself and began using them without restraint. Captain Jake Morrison watched the tactical displays as reports came in from dozens of battlefields. The Guardian projection vessels were holding their own against hierarchy forces, but new enemy ships kept appearing from hidden bases throughout the galaxy. "Captain, we're receiving a priority transmission from Earth," Kate Murphy announced. "Admiral Blake says the situation there is getting worse." The main screen showed Admiral Blake again, but this time she was clearly in a combat situation. Explosions could be heard in the background, and emergency lights flashed red behind her. "Morrison, those energy beings have done something to our reality," Admiral Blake said urgently. "Half of Washington, D.C. just stopped existing. Not destroyed, just gone, like it was never built. Our weapons can't touch them." Helen worked at her control station, sending more Guardian technology to Earth through the quantum link. "Admiral, your weapons should now be able to affect hierarchy vessels. The Guardian protocols are upgrading your defensive systems." Lisa. Park looked up from her engineering station with amazement. "Captain, the ship is manufacturing weapons and sending them instantly across thousands of light years. How is that possible?" "Quantum fabrication," Helen replied. "Matter and energy are simply different forms of information. Once you understand that, distance becomes meaningless." Bobby Torres was monitoring communications from across the galaxy. "Captain, I'm picking up something incredible. Species that were supposedly extinct are coming back online. Ships are appearing near dead worlds that haven't had life for millions of years." Amy Chen studied the incoming data. "Helen, what's happening to those worlds?" Helen's glowing form showed the first signs of hope since the battle began. "The Guardian technology is breaking the hierarchy's hold on stolen life energy. Every time we destroy one of their vessels, the energy they had consumed is being released back into the universe." The main screen changed to show a world that had been barren rock for ages. Now, cities were materializing on its surface, and ships were launching from newly formed spaceports. The planet was coming back to life exactly as it had been before. The hierarchy harvested it. "That's impossible," Ryan Hayes said. "You can't bring back entire civilizations." "The hierarchy does not truly destroy," Helen explained. "They convert matter and consciousness into energy. But the information pattern remains. My creators designed the Guardian technology to reverse the process." Jake felt a chill as he understood the implications. "How many civilizations have they harvested over the millions of years they've ruled?" "Conservative estimates suggest over 50,000 species," Helen replied. "If we can defeat the hierarchy completely, we can restore them all." Sovereign Zephyros appeared on their communication screen without warning, his energy form crackling with rage. "You have no idea what you are doing, primitive creatures. The cosmic order has existed for eons. We are the shepherds of reality itself." "You're parasites," Jake replied bluntly. "You feed on other species and call it guidance." "We maintain stability," Zephyros shot back. "Without our oversight, young species destroy themselves or become threats to universal order. We have prevented countless wars and disasters." Amy stepped forward. "By murdering entire civilizations before they could make their own choices." "Choice is an illusion," Zephyros said. "There is only the path of development we allow, or extinction. Your ancient predecessors learned this truth when we harvested them." Helen's image blazed brighter. "My creators chose a third option. They chose to fight back. And where are they now? Zephyros sneered. Dead for millions of years, while we continue to shape the galaxy according to our will. They live on in me, Helen replied, and soon they will live again in reality. Bobby's sensor station began beeping frantically. Captain, massive energy signatures are appearing throughout this system. Something big is happening. The space around them began to shimmer with rainbow light. Energy flowed in patterns that hurt to look at directly, and the very fabric of space seemed to be rewriting itself. What is that? Lisa asked. Helen smiled for the first time since the battle began. The Guardian Protocol's final activation sequence. My creators are coming home. The rainbow energy condensed into solid forms, and suddenly there were people standing on the bridge. Not energy beings like Helen, but real, physical humans. They were tall and graceful, with an ageless quality that spoke of advanced technology, but they were unmistakably human. The woman who appeared next to Helen looked exactly like her, except she was solid and real. She wore a uniform that was clearly ancient but seemed perfectly preserved. I am Commander Patricia Stone, the woman said, original captain of the Eternal Vigilance. We have been waiting in quantum storage for someone worthy to restore us to active existence. Jake stared at the ancient humans who were materializing throughout his ship. You've been dead for millions of years. Death is another form of information. Storage, Commander Stone replied. My people converted themselves into quantum patterns before the final battle with the hierarchy. We have been waiting inside the Guardian technology for the right moment to return. More ancient humans appeared, on ships throughout the galaxy wherever Guardian technology was active. They immediately began taking positions at weapon stations and strategic points, their advanced knowledge combining with current human determination. Ryan watched in amazement as one of the ancient humans, a man who introduced himself as Commander, Alex Carter, began working with the ship's tactical systems. The weapons efficiency just increased by 300%, Ryan reported. We designed these systems, Commander Carter explained. We know how to use them properly. The tide of battle began turning immediately. Guardian vessels throughout the galaxy started winning decisive victories as their ancient creators provided tactical expertise that had been refined over millions of years of preparation. Zephyros appeared on the screen again, his energy form flickering with what might have been fear. This is impossible. We destroyed your civilization completely. Commander Stone stepped into view of the communication system. You destroyed our bodies and our worlds, but we hid our souls in quantum storage, waiting for our descendants to grow strong enough to restore us. You cannot change the cosmic order, Zephyros insisted. We are eternal. We have ruled since the universe was young. Your rule ends today, Stone replied. The Guardian Protocol was designed not just to fight you, but to completely undo everything you have done. Every species you harvested, every world you drained, every civilization you destroyed will be restored. The hierarchy leader's form blazed with desperate fury. Then we will unmake reality itself rather than see our work undone. If we cannot rule the universe, then there will be no universe to rule. Jake felt the ship's sensors detecting massive energy buildups from hierarchy vessels throughout the galaxy. They were preparing something that would affect the fundamental forces holding reality together. They're going to try to collapse the universe back into primordial chaos, Commander Stone said grimly. It's their final option when all else fails. Helen turned to Jake. Captain Morrison, the choice is now yours. You can order the Guardian protocol to defensive mode, and we might survive the reality collapse. Or you can authorize full offensive deployment. What's the difference? Jake asked. Defensive mode saves humanity and our immediate allies, Stone explained. Offensive mode saves everyone in the galaxy, but the risk to ourselves increases dramatically. Jake looked around at his crew, both ancient and modern. Amy nodded firmly. Ryan gave him a thumbs up. Lisa called from engineering that all systems were ready. Bobby reported that every Guardian vessel in the galaxy was waiting for his command. All Guardian vessels, this is Captain Morrison, Jake announced across the Galactic Communication Network. Execute full offensive deployment. Save everyone. The ancient humans smiled with pride as their descendants chose to risk everything. For strangers, they would never meet. The Guardian technology responded instantly, deploying weapons and defenses on a scale that dwarfed anything the galaxy had ever seen. The final battle between order and chaos, between freedom and tyranny, between life and consumption, was about to begin. Captain Jake Morrison made his decision quickly. "We accept," he said through the communication link. "If this ship can protect humanity, then we'll take that responsibility." Helen Carter's glowing form smiled for the first time since they had met her. "Then let the awakening begin." The crystals around the away team suddenly blazed with brilliant light. Energy flowed through the walls like liquid fire, and the entire ship began to hum with power. Ryan felt the deck vibrating under his feet as massive systems came online after millions of years of sleep. "What's happening?" Bobby asked, watching his scanner display readings that made no sense. "The Eternal Vigilance is integrating with your vessel," Helen explained. "Your ship will become something new, something far beyond what your current technology could create." Back on the USS Defiance, Lisa Park stared at her engineering displays in amazement. "Captain, our systems are changing. The ship's computer is being upgraded. Our engines are being modified. And I'm seeing new systems coming online that weren't there 5 minutes ago." Jake watched through the bridge windows as his ship began to transform. The hull was growing new sections that seemed to build themselves from nothing. Strange antennas and devices appeared along the sides, and the entire vessel was starting to glow with the same blue light as the ancient ship. "Lisa, are we in any danger?" Jake asked. "I don't think so, sir," Lisa replied, her voice filled with wonder. "The new systems are integrating perfectly with our old ones. It's like they were always meant to be together. Captain, our power output just increased by a factor of 10,000. In the crystal chamber, Helen gestured toward a new opening that had appeared in the wall. "Come, there is much you need to see." Ryan led his team through corridors that were changing even as they walked. The alien architecture was somehow becoming more familiar, more suited to human use. Doors appeared at the right height, gravity adjusted to Earth normal, and the lighting became warmer and more comfortable. "The HFY ship is learning from your presence," Helen explained as they walked. "It is adapting itself to serve humanity as it once served your ancestors." They entered what could only be called the bridge of the Eternal Vigilance. It was enormous, with control stations arranged in perfect harmony. The central command chair faced a screen that showed the space around both ships. Jake's image appeared on the screen as the communication system activated. "Ryan, what am I looking at?" Jake asked. "Our sensors are showing impossible readings from your location." "Captain, this ship has technology that makes our best equipment look like stone tools," Ryan replied. "Helen, show him what this ship can do." The glowing woman nodded and touched one of the control panels. Instantly, the USS Defiance vanished from its position and reappeared next to the ancient vessel. The journey had taken less than a second and covered several thousand miles. "How did you do that?" Jake demanded, his voice showing both amazement and concern. "Spatial displacement," Helen said calmly. "This ship can move through dimensions that exist beyond your normal space. Distance becomes meaningless when you can step outside the universe and back in wherever you choose." Lisa's voice came through, the communication system filled with excitement. "Captain, our new sensors are picking up energy signatures I've never seen before. We can detect objects light years away with perfect clarity. And, sir, we're picking up something else. Ships approaching from deep space." Helen's expression grew serious. "They come faster than I expected. The hierarchy has detected my activation." "The hierarchy?" Amy asked. "The beings who call themselves gods," Helen replied. "They have ruled this galaxy for millions of years, carefully managing younger species until they are ready for harvest. They consider themselves the rightful masters of all life." On the transformed bridge of the USS Defiance, new displays came online showing the approaching vessels. They were unlike anything in human records, seeming to be made of pure energy rather than solid matter. They moved through space without any visible means of propulsion, bending reality around themselves as they traveled. "How many ships?" Jake asked. 12 vessels of the hierarchy approach," Helen announced. "They are not ships as you understand them, but extensions of their will made manifest in your reality." Lieutenant Kate Murphy, the Defiance's communications officer, looked up from her station with surprise. "Captain, I'm receiving a transmission. It's coming from the lead vessel." "Put it through," Jake ordered. The main screen flickered and showed a being of impossible beauty and terrible power. It appeared to be made of living light, with features that shifted constantly between different forms. When it spoke, its voice seemed to come from everywhere at once. "Young humans," the being said, "I am Sovereign Zephyros of the hierarchy. You have awakened something that should have remained sleeping. Surrender the ancient vessel immediately, and we will grant you a swift ascension to higher existence." Jake stood up from his command chair. "And if we refuse? Then you will learn why countless civilizations have chosen to accept our guidance, rather than face our displeasure," Zephyros replied. "The weapon you have found was created by a species that thought themselves clever. They learned the price of defying the natural order." Helen's image appeared beside Jake on the screen. "Hello, old enemy. I see you have not changed in the millions of years since you murdered my creators." Zephyros's form flickered with what might have been surprise. "The Guardian Protocol still functions? Impossible. We destroyed that abomination completely." "You destroyed the civilization that created me," Helen said calmly. "But I survived, as I was designed to do, and now I have found new guardians to carry on the work." "Humans are barely more advanced than the creatures they evolved from," Zephyros sneered. "They are not worthy to wield such power." Jake stepped forward. "Maybe not, but we're willing to learn." Amy was studying the readings from the ancient ship's sensors. "Helen, what do you mean by ascension? What do they do to species they harvest?" Helen's expression grew dark. "They drain the life force from entire worlds, converting billions of sentient beings into pure energy which they then consume. They call it ascension because they tell their victims it is an honor to become part of something greater." Bobby looked up from his readings. "That's genocide on a galactic scale." "Indeed," Helen replied. The hierarchy has consumed thousands of civilizations over the millions of years they have ruled. Your species was being prepared for the same fate. On the screen, Zephyros raised what might have been a hand. Enough talk. Humans, you have one final chance. Surrender the Guardian vessel and accept immediate ascension. Your energy will be put to better use serving the cosmic order. Jake looked around at his crew, then back at the screen. I think our answer is no. Then you have chosen extinction, Zephyros said. Prepare to join your ancient predecessors in oblivion. The transmission ended, and immediately the hierarchy vessels began to glow brighter. Space around them started to twist and bend as they prepared their weapons. Helen, can this ship fight them? Jake asked. The Eternal Vigilance was designed specifically to combat the hierarchy, Helen replied. But you must understand, this will not be a battle fought with conventional weapons. They will attack reality itself, trying to unravel the very laws of physics that hold your existence together. Lisa's voice came from the engineering station. Captain, I'm detecting massive energy buildups from the enemy vessels. Whatever they're planning to do, it's going to be big. Ryan and his team had returned to the USS Defiance, which was now permanently joined with the ancient vessel. The two ships had become one, creating something entirely new. The bridge displays showed weapons and defensive systems that seemed to operate on principles beyond human understanding. All crew battle stations, Jake announced. We're about to find out if our ancestors built their ultimate weapon well enough to save us. Helen took her place at one of the control stations. Captain Morrison, I am transferring full tactical control to you. The ship will respond to your commands as if you had trained on it your entire life. Jake sat down in the captain's chair, which immediately adjusted itself to his body. Information flowed into his mind, showing him how to operate weapons that could tear holes in space itself and shields that existed in multiple dimensions at once. All stations report ready, Ryan announced. Jake looked at the approaching enemy vessels and felt the awesome power of the ancient ship responding to his will. Then let's show these so-called gods what humanity is capable of. The first shots of the war between humanity and the hierarchy lit up the void between galaxies with energies that had not been seen since the universe was young.